Good morning, Oracles, and happy Good Friday to those of you who celebrate. Today we're going to be having some fun. Markets are closed, so let's enjoy today. And today I'm going to be covering the scaling pieces of what Elon spoke about yesterday in the TED Talk. And this, I think, is a massive piece of what is going to be in Master Plan Part 3. And as I had said yesterday, there's a bunch of little different tidbits that I had gotten in his talk that kind of filled in some gaps for me along the way when it comes to Master Plan Part 3. So I am looking at, the fact that he's looking at mass scaling. So he now has, basically a goal in mind, which is 300 terawatts of energy for energy storage. And so when you have a guy like Elon who thinks very literally and thinks strictly about the truth and comes from a physics perspective, he's like, all right, well, how do we solve X problem? Well, we need to figure out what the goal is to get us to that point. So he said their calculations, which, they might be wrong, but it's an estimate of the 300 terawatts of battery storage needed. This is what is needed to supply heating and cooling and all the electricity that they need to, for housing and for all the vehicles around the world. And so now that they have their end goal in place, they can formulate the plan that they need to get there. And so his thought is to have Tesla committing themselves to a meaningful percentage of that 300 terawatts of energy. Okay, so next step is, what do they need to get them there? Well, they need obviously massive scaling, as he has said. So how do they get themselves to massive scaling? Obviously, build more factories that build batteries, make more batteries. So all of these different steps along the way are what they need to do to get there. And then, of course, he says, to minimize the risks of the environment, from what we are dealing with now to get us to sustainable energy, we need to be able to do that as fast as possible and encourage others along the way to also do it as fast as possible. So Tesla has already proven when it comes to EVs that they just lead by example. They are doing it, they are living it, and look at how many others are out there following suit and going along in the right direction. And so that's why Elon is not concerned about sharing their patents or sharing their information with others, because the main goal is to get the whole world there. And he knows that Tesla can't do it themselves. So he needs to have everything open sourced, just like he wants to have for, like Twitter algorithms out there. Everything needs to be open for the world to be able to use. He is totally admitting that they can't do it themselves. There are others who can do it. Here's how we are doing it. Run with it. Do it yourself as well, but let's get there. And so that's going to be the mass scaling piece of it, is not only is Tesla committing themselves, but they're committing themselves to help encourage others to do the same. And so how can they get there faster than they were already planning? Well, the only way you can get there faster is just by doing what you're already doing faster. And when it comes to Austin, he said that is basically the blueprint for the future of factories for when it comes to production. Well, this is great. So now they can take that factory format and just drop as many of them as they can as quickly as possible. So when Elon said at Giga Berlin that they're looking at, best case scenario, 10 more factories by 2030, I think we're going to get the majority of those within the next 2 to 3 years. I think we might see 5 or 6 factories come up by 2025. And then what's going to happen is, as we talked about last night with Optimus comes along, and Optimus is going to help speed up that scaling process. So the sooner they can solve general world AI, the sooner they can get Optimus up and running, the sooner they can scale everything else faster to get the entire world to renewable energy. And then he talks about the future when we're going to have as many batteries as we are, where battery recycling is going to be as important as it is. And, they've got redwood materials over there in Nevada. So we know that Elon is going to be partnering with them in the future as far as battery recycling goes, because that is a huge piece of this, so that you can get rid of all the mining in the future that is needed for the batteries, because you can recycle 95% of a battery and reuse it. So all of this scaling goes forward all the way, and he has thought about every single aspect that he can obviously know of along the way to get there. Obviously, there's going to be different things that come up along the way. You know, Elon did mention in the interview that he makes mistakes. He's not always right. He is wrong sometimes. And we get it. And it's good to be humble like that. Obviously, you know, that's how you learn. If you think you're right all the time, you're not right all the time. The wisest man knows that he is not the wisest man. And that's what's keeping Elon directed and focused in the direction he is going. And so Elon's thought about mass scaling for the future of renewable energy is not about production of EVs, it's about tonnage of batteries. That is where his focus is. So that's why they're going to have all of the battery factory and battery production going on down in Giga Austin, and why we've seen random mega pack factories just popping up randomly all over the place. This is where the focus is, tonnage of batteries. So when we're starting to look at how much, you know, gigawatts, terawatts are pumping out there, that is the focus for Elon. Yes, obviously the EVs are what is going to be driving revenues so that they can continue scaling even higher. And obviously in the future, EVs are what are going to be driving around for a more clean future that we're looking for. So you kind of have to have both of them, and Tesla is going to be producing the majority of both of them. Now think about it. If you go back 100 years, imagine if Standard Oil partnered with Ford and they both were one company and they produced both oil and the vehicles that ran off of that oil. That is basically where Tesla is going to be at. Oil is powering the world. Vehicles are what power us to get around the world. Yes, there's mass transport, but a lot of mass transportation also uses oil. This is what Tesla is doing. They're literally combining two of the largest companies that changed the world 100 years ago into one company that is going to change the world again. So think about it this way. Apple has their computers and their iPhones, and then they have all the accessories that go with it. When it comes to Tesla, you might think, well, they're going to have EVs and then the software that goes with it. No. Tesla's going to have energy, and the EVs are basically going to be the accessories that go along with that. And then when it comes to Optimus in the future, that's what's going to be driving all of this forward and scaling it even faster. So, you know, looking at just the massive scale of the entire company and where it's going to be taking the whole world in the future, it's beyond comprehension because it could be infinite. So realistically, in the future, Tesla can own the accessories, which will be the EVs. Tesla will own the energy, which drives the EVs. And Tesla will own the Optimus Tesla bots, which will produce the EVs and the energy. And yes, Tesla bot, I know you are going to comment, so are you 100% Tesla yet? I am getting there. I really, truly am. I do still like diversification, but I think in the future I'm going to have my diversification end up being more real estate, because there is a whole master plan that I have for my own future. So I am working on that, and I think that's going to be part of it. And then I'll probably end up being Tesla 100% when it comes to a stock, because the more I see this plan coming together, the more I realize it's just, there's nothing that can possibly compete with Tesla as a stock and a company. And yes, I know that there's a lot of things that we have to get through to get to that point, but I have faith in Elon and Tesla to get us there. So this is why I'm not 100% yet. I am very much a see it and believe it kind of guy, which is why the more I see this, the more I believe it, and the more my portfolio turns into Tesla. Let me know in the comments below, what percentage of your portfolio is Tesla? I know many of you out there are 100%, so share in the comments below where you're at, and how quickly do you think this scaling is going to happen? Do you think it's going to happen faster than we thought last year? Or where do you think it's going to be at? And now just a quick side note, with the holiday weekend going on, I have a very busy schedule, so I will try to get one video out over the weekend in some of my downtime. Otherwise, if I do not, I will see you all on Monday, and I hope you all have a wonderful holiday weekend. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all of the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.